Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we are back at the Delaware Water Gap area, specifically at Kittatinny Point, which is a boat launch primarily here in the Delaware Water Gap area on the New Jersey side of the Delaware River. I've painted here quite a few times, but I'm back today trying to capture some of the more intense colors that are forming as we make our way toward peak foliage here in the Delaware Water Gap. Here's a map of Kittatinny Point that they have conveniently located here. And I'm going to walk to a spot that I've painted at a couple of times recently. There's a little cutout just above the main part of the boat launch on the beach section of Kittatinny Point. I'm going to circle around a little bit and just make sure that there's no other areas that offer a similar vantage point for the view of the Delaware Water Gap. I also anticipate, because it's been relatively cold in the evenings, dipping below freezing here in northeastern Pennsylvania and western New Jersey, the river water is a little bit warmer than the air temperature, so we're going to have some lingering cloud cover throughout the valley here. It'll evolve very quickly, but it'll make it a little challenging and fun for me to capture some of the light effects that are created by the clouds that may diffuse the mountaintops and the treetops, and also reflect some interesting colors given all of the different hues that are available in this scene, because we are in the middle of autumn. You can see a lot of the leaves have fallen on the ground. There's been some storms that have rolled through in recent weeks. We also have a hurricane forming in the Caribbean, which will undoubtedly make its way up and create some high winds, which will result in us not being able to paint on plein air, and also will take some of the leaves off of the trees within the next week or so. So I'm looking to capitalize on every opportunity that I get, which is typically going to be like today, early in the morning, just after sunrise. So it's cold, but we're going to still have some fun. Here we are making our way to the area where the cutout is that provides this majestic view of the Delaware Water Gap. And we're going to go ahead and settle in here and paint today on plein air with soft pastel. You can see some of those cloud formations there right now. You can also see that the sun has yet to peek its way over the mountaintops, but it'll be here soon. So we're going to be painting in soft pastels of various colors and various brands on Uart sanded paper, 12 inches by 9 inches. We're going to go ahead and set up our gear and get working. And we're going to try and get this painting done within about 45 minutes. So we're going to run this video at regular speed so you'll see the full process, where I'm using soft pastel, a little bit of charcoal, a little fan brush, and that's just about it. So I hope you enjoy. If you find these videos helpful, amusing, or if you think they might be helpful to somebody you know within your circle of friends and family, please consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing the video with whomever might enjoy it as well. So the light is changing very, very quickly, and the cloud formations will change very quickly too. In this case, because of the fact that the cloud shapes are hanging low within the river valley, just hovering over the river, they will also shape the view of the mountains that make up the water gap and actually change the shapes themselves. So I'm going to work quickly, first using a little bit of burnt willow charcoal. We're going to lay in some indications of the major shapes and contours within this scene. I'm going to aim at very minimal modification of what I actually am seeing in this scene. There's not going to be a lot of editing on my part or an attempt to move the big shapes around to create a more pleasing actual scene on paper. I'm going to try and paint it as I see it. Now, throughout this effort, there's going to be moments where I'm going to have to freeze time, in a sense, resort to painting from my memory of the moment that just passed, because the light effects and the cloud shapes will change the scene so very much. But we'll do the best I can. And one key thing to do in this sort of circumstance is to work fast, but also make sure that you lock in on the scene as it exists in any given moment. Because at some point, we're going to have to snap the chalk line, as they say in the construction industry, and use that moment where we snap that chalk line as the moment that we incorporate into the dominant characteristics or traits of the scene. So with that said, following the normal process that we would follow while using soft pastel, very similar to that which we would follow while painting in oil paints, we start with the dark values and we work our way up to the lightest values. We use the more muted colors first, and then we work our way up into the highlights, more saturated and intense colors. And we're just going to do that as quickly as we can, occasionally blending, eventually incorporating some of the colors that are intended to indicate the sky and the cloud formations, and we'll make our way through. So I'm not going to do a lot of talking in this video, just going to allow you to follow along with my process. Hopefully you find it enjoyable, and we'll come back at various points when there's activities or events during this process that are worthy of explanation, and definitely at the end. So thanks again for watching. Consider liking and subscribing this video if you haven't done so already, and perhaps sharing it with a friend. Just as anticipated, the clouds are starting to move pretty quickly throughout the river valley. And as you might see in the background area, just behind my drawing board that I have my sanded paper mounted upon on my easel, the clouds actually are covering the wall of mountains and trees that is across the river on the Pennsylvania side. And it's changing the scene very, very significantly. So this is where being able to draw from your memory becomes really, really important. You don't want to be chasing the light and chasing the scene as it evolves due to nature's effects on the scene like this. If you do, first, you'll never finish the painting. Second, you'll lose a lot of the contrast and value shifts, which ultimately will deplete the effectiveness of the painting. So I'm still working largely from memory, occasionally taking hints from the actual scene itself right now, and trying my best to avoid the urge to make adjustments because of what I see in front of me. And now I'm focused mainly on figuring out ways with which I could just uplift the painting and improve upon it with every stroke. And taking some gambles. My memory is not what it used to be, so from time to time I do misremember things, but for the most part I'm thinking, okay, what can enhance this painting? What can create a better sense of depth? And what might make this a little bit more painterly and realistic looking as it reads from across the room about 6 or 7 feet away or more? Those are the things that I'm thinking about at this point. I'm also thinking about how do I create a little bit more balance, and how do I make the actual shapes themselves a little bit more pleasing, especially from a little bit further away where you might be looking at this from across the room. Well, we're getting close to wrapping up our painting session here, and I'm really pleased by the fact that we're able to make this much progress in less than 40 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. Consider sharing with a friend that you think might enjoy this video too. And also, if you enjoyed this video, consider clicking on this video up here, which the YouTube algorithm suggests might be a good fit for you based upon your interest. Here's the final version of the painting for now. I'll put the absolute final version after some touch-up in studio on my website at thomasmichaelneiman.com. Thanks again. Stay well.